Africa.
It is 12 p.m. You are listening to the Mid-Morning Talk on Salam Media with Maryam Mkwanda. Many people think that families become less important to children as they move into their teenage years, but a child needs your family and the support it offers as much as they did when they were younger. It is time for our segment with Islamic Care Line, and today's topic of discussion: how parents can build healthy relationships with young people. And joining me is Suhayfa Mahomed, a counselor at Islamic Care Line. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Suhayfa, shukran for joining me.
Walaikum salam, and jazakallah for having me on the show.
Right, so when we talk about healthy relationships, what are we talking about?
Okay, well, I think that in every healthy relationship, there are obviously a few things that certain characteristics that would apply to every relationship, and these include things like mutual respect, honesty, empathy, good communication, emotional control, trust. So I don't think it really matters what kind of relationship we're referring to, but these sort of characteristics would apply all across the board.
But why is it important for parents to build healthy relationships with the young people, whether it's their young children or young people in general?
Well, I think that in general, parents are the first role models of a child, and when a child sees or experiences a positive relationship with their parent, they're most likely to expect that same kind of behavior in their own relationships, and also most likely to behave in that way, behave in a positive way towards everybody else. I think it's based on the idea of building a positive belief system about what to expect in a positive way.
Right. So how do parents build healthy relationships with young people?
Okay, well, I think the first way, and I think the most important way, is just through modeling that positive relationship with their own spouse. So it can be things like noticing and expressing appreciation. Even if they just model, innocent, appropriate affection, such as, a small rub on, their spouse's shoulder or back on the cheek. Things like, trying to avoid criticism of their spouse, and maybe, just try and focus on being kind and more supportive. Also things like, if they find that they, starting to argue or become uncivil with their spouse, maybe just to take a time out. But sometimes we think that it's better for children not to see their parents arguing, but if it's done in a calm and productive way, where they can see that adults can disagree, but also work together to resolve their differences, then this is modeling positive conflict resolution. They can see that you can disagree without becoming angry, without name calling and shaming, and even if you throw in an apology at the end, it teaches children the positive way of behaving in an argument. There's other things like sharing responsibilities, and I think that's become something quite pertinent in today's day and age. I mean, I think spouses expect, since the wife is often working as well as the husband, and it builds a positive relationship. She knows that she can get that kind of support from her husband, to know that they can equally share the chores in the home. So if children see this, especially boys, then it will become that expectation that they can do that for themselves, with their spouses as well. So yeah.
And what better time to start sharing responsibility than now? I mean, everyone was homebound during the pandemic last year, and we kind of were forced to share the responsibilities, to live with each other as much as we didn't live with each other before, and to get to learn one another and rebuild those relationships. So the lockdown might have helped some people with their relationships, and it also might have not helped others with their relationships. Now, how do you maintain relationships and taking boundaries into consideration?
Um, are we talking about in terms of adolescent relationships?
Yes, yes.
Um, okay, well, I think in terms of boundaries, this is something again that needs to be taught probably from a young age, and I think children need to understand, you know, first of all, what feels comfortable to them, in terms of when they're in the presence of, say, an adult, they need to know bodily sensations. I think that's the foundation of it, to know that, what, this person is making me feel uncomfortable. So I'm feeling sweaty, I'm getting heart palpitations. Um, there's various bodily signs that can tell them that this isn't okay, and then they need to be taught to be assertive in a situation that makes them feel uncomfortable, to know that it's okay to say that, no, I'm not okay with you doing that. So, and like I say, this is something that can be taught to very young children, and if they learn that assertiveness at a young age, then they'll be able to carry it through to them, into their adolescence, um, into their adulthood as well, you know.
Hmm. Now, what are some
So yeah.
mistakes that parents make when trying to build healthy relationships with their children?
Um, I think one of the biggest mistakes they can make is to have a more authoritarian style of parenting
Hmm.
versus an authoritative parenting style. So I think when they overly strict, when they don't have a lot of openness and affection with their child, when they just have this attitude of do as I say, not as I do,
Hmm.
I think that's one of the biggest mistakes. And I think especially in terms of being like very rigid with the rules, to say that you're not allowed to go anywhere, you're not allowed to do anything. And I
Hmm.
think this creates a lot of rebellious behavior in children. And I think, um, if a child wants to do something, if they want to, go out and date a boy and, break the rules, that, despite their parents trying to control their behavior, if they want to rebel, it's still going to happen. So yeah, I think just being able to change that style to an authoritative parenting style, which is a combination of both warmth and firmness. And it's being able to set high standards and have high expectations of your child, um, and their behavior, but also to reinforce this with consistent discipline.
Hmm.
So yeah.
And also leave room for mistakes, because they are bound to make mistakes. They are young children. They are growing. I mean, we were not perfect growing up. We made our mistakes, and as parents, we we also don't want our kids to go down the road that we went through, but we are guiding them. You guide them as a parent, but you don't do and say things like, because I said so, that's why you can't do A, B, or C.
Right, right.
All right, Suhayfa, any last takeaway points that you would like to share with our listeners?
Um, well, I think that, since, I'm assuming that we're coming from an Islamic perspective, I think
Mhm.
it's very important, to be able to instill those good morals and values in your child. And what, research has actually shown that if you can have an open relationship with your child where you can discuss things like relationships and sexuality, obviously coming from an Islamic perspective, and to be able to tell them about, the harms of getting involved, that this actually, um, it helps to prevent children from getting involved in relationships and becoming sexually active at a young age. So, it doesn't have to be done in an inappropriate way or using inappropriate language, but just to let them know that these are our values, these are our principles, and this is the benefits that can come from it. Then I think that goes a long way in keeping children safe. So yeah.
All right, sir. Shukran so much for your time. But before you leave us, please share Islamic Care Line's contact details.
Sure. It's 011 373 8080.
All right, shukran, Suhayfa, and have a wonderful day. Assalamu alaikum.
Opportunity to sponsor a share in a war in South Africa for just 1,000 rand and provide what the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, called the best form of charity. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
Looking to get your kick? Kiki's have now reopened on 235 Matthew